Hi guys, welcome back. This is now issue 17 of Build the Classic Routemaster. Tickets please. So I think this will be quite a quick issue. 17 is the second half of the chassis, which will connect to the rear chassis that we did last week. So I think it's going to be a fairly straightforward issue. So without further ado, let's crack on and get this together, and then we'll get an idea of actually how long this is going to be. It's not going to be the full length because we've still got the front suspension to add on, but we're going to get a rough idea of the sort of length that we're looking at. So yeah, let's crack on. Okay, so here we go. Also, it might just be where I forgot to mention last week, I do apologise, in this delivery, obviously issue 16, I had a replacement issue come through the post because there was a slight printing error, and they printed 2 lots of page 12. So this is page 12 here, and this is also page 12. Now there are some differences. It's a little bit weird. The top part's okay, but the bus image here changes. So you've got a white roof there and a yellow one there, but they are the same page and the same text. So they have actually issued another magazine that did come in my delivery, so this one can go in the bin. I have got another one to go in my folder. Okay, that being said, let's move on to issue 17. We'll get the parts out, check them off, and go from there. So, again, another large piece of the chassis which we're expecting. Okay, so the front chassis frame, and that feels, again, a nice weight. I think it's about the same as the rear. We've got this chassis frame link 17B, and this is made of plastic, this part. And then we've got 2 types of screw. Ooh. Yeah, sorry. I thought there was 3 then. We've got 2 types of screws. We've got some GM screws. Okay, and then we've got some MM screws as well. So, let's crack on. Again, I think it's going to be a fairly quick issue. Take the rear chassis frame assembly from the previous issue. Okay, so let's put this aside for the moment. I'm going to try and fit this all on the screen. So, this is the orientation. It's got it in. It's got it this way round with the this arms bar, the suspension arms bar here. That's going to be facing downwards. So we want the back of the unit here, and then we need to identify the screw hole circled at the end. So we're looking at these down here. So you've got 4. You've got 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and obviously this one here. So they are what we need to be focusing on. I'm just going to move you up, and we're going to be then locating the front chassis and check that you have the correct orientation and identify the 4 mounting points, which are 1, 2, 3, 4. and if you put them side by side like that, you can see that they line up. This side is completely different, so you won't get that mixed up. Okay, so they're going to go together like so. So what we're going to do is we're going to place this piece on top, and we're going to line them up together. So this piece will go on top of the pegs and then drop down, and that is a beautiful flush fit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use GM screws to fix them together. So I'm going to get the screw pot out. And obviously I know not all of you have got the Oria screwdriver, but I recommend finding a nice screwdriver that fits these heads perfectly and you get lots of grip on them. These need to be up fairly tight. If they're not, the chassis likes to move and bend in the middle. I've seen some YouTubers that I don't think have actually really noticed. They've been oblivious to it, and it's just like, it just makes you cringe. Every time you lift the model up, it was cracking and moving, and that's not going to do the screws any good. So yeah, just make sure that this is done up nice and tight, and as I say, try and use a different screwdriver. I recommend a different screwdriver. Obviously the Routemaster screwdriver that was supplied, you can't get enough grip on that to secure these into place. So if you're at this stage, I really do recommend getting a nice bigger screwdriver with plenty of grip on that head. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to hold that in place from underneath, give it some support, and then we're going to start putting these GM screws in. So I'm going to start with this one here nearest me. Okay, and I'm going to get some turns on there, and that isn't tight yet. I'm just going to work my way along and get them all in. Again, I'm going to support from underneath and put some pressure on that. So that's that one. Again, I'm using washing up liquid for these screws. Bit of support from underneath, and then just work your way along. That's that one, and then the last GM screw just in the end, and then what we'll do is we'll go back along and we'll make sure they're nice and tight. Sorry, I know I'm blocking the view. So they're up fairly tight, so I'm now going to go back along and just make sure they are really tight. And you can get quite a lot of turn. Okay. Oh, so they are really tight, and I've got no movement whatsoever. As you can see, I'm flexing that and there's no movement. I'm really happy with how that's come out. There's no wobbles, so that is good. Whether I'll have to adjust that later on, I don't know. As we're working on it, it may become loose. I'm not sure yet. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is once we've secured them nice and tight, we're going to flip this over and we're going to be working on this area just here. Okay, so let me bring you in a bit. So, we're concentrating on these two holes here, and then we've got this locating hole just here, and then Okay, 1 minute, let me just go back. Four GM screws. Okay, yeah, I was just getting a bit confused there, and I'll remember now. So, we're on this stage here, where we're going to be attaching this, the frame link. Okay, and there is a misprint. It says use 2 GM screws, but if you actually read the instructions, it does say use 2 screws. Now, we know that it is correct on here because we've only got 1 GM screw left, so there's not even enough to do 2, and we've got the screws here, and they have been unused. So ignore that GM, go by the manual. Okay, so with screws, we'll get those out. We're going to attach this, the frame link here. So you'll notice that you've got a locating pin on the underside. That is going to go into this locating hole just here. This can only go in one way, because if I try and do it the wrong way, it just will not fit. Okay, so that is just going to pop in like so, and that's going to fit nicely into there. Now this has got nothing to do with the rigidity, it's a hard word to say, rigidity of the actual 2 parts of the chassis. This is just, I'm not actually sure what this is for just yet, but this doesn't support, so this isn't any extra reinforcement for that. So we're going to use the screws to secure these into place. Okay, so you don't want to go in too hard because obviously we're screwing through the plastic there, and that you'll risk, if you over tighten it, you'll risk breaking the plastic. Okay, and that has gone in beautifully. And that completes all the steps in issue 17. Okay, so that was issue 17. This is getting nice and heavy and very large. We should have something that looks along those lines. Absolutely fantastic. So what leaves me now is to try and find room on this shelf just here behind me. So I'm going to have to do a bit of reorganisation to fit this on. So yeah, until next week, please like, share, subscribe. If you wish to buy me a coffee, there is a link in the description below. So yeah, until next week, take care, see you later, bye bye.